When my mom moved to Odessa, she met my father, and my father was a student at a military academy. So there was a military exchange, very popular at that time. So my mom was just working as a waitress, She was starting her life in Odessa. And he was serving, he's from Libya. He's Libyan, Arabic. And he was studying in Odessa. And so they met, the love. I was born by union of two loving each other people. At that time, at Soviet Union time, it was prohibited that Slavic woman would meet someone who is specially serving in army in a different country, military obligated. For my father to marry my mom, he knew that if he would go back to Libya, he would go to a jail.
Oh.
For my mom to marry my father, it would be jail back in Odessa.
So they couldn't be together.
They could not be together.
Oh.
So for my father's side, they had to make a decision to accept me and my mom in the family, and knowing that my father will lose all his career and future back in Libya, as it's Gaddafi time,
Oh, okay.
And my father worked for Gaddafi in the Air Force. So that was a tough decision. One day I was 1 year old, and my father had to say goodbye to us because there was a conflict between Libya and Chad. So I grew up, I didn't know much about my father. My mom decided to hide everything from me until I was 21. And ex-president of Ukraine, President Yushchenko, he had a very good relationship with Gaddafi and Libya. So he invited my father to visit with some official visit in Ukraine. And my father asked permission to fly to Odessa for 2 days. It was a Ukrainian holiday in May. He bought us a house before he left Ukraine, probably like forever. My mom didn't know if she will have a chance to see my father again. So I grew up knowing that my father is a hero. I didn't know much. And actually, I'm glad I didn't know much, if he's alive or what's happening. Politics, is complicated.
So you still don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, I know. So he found our house, and he knocked on the door. I was at home with my grandma, with my mom, and we opened the door, and we saw my father in a military, outfit.
Yeah.
With all this on his shoulders. I don't know how you say this in English. That he was very honored,
Yeah,
he dedicated his life serving his country, Libya. So I met my father. I spent the best 2 days in my life talking to know him. I knew one thing, that my father was a very highly educated person. He was very passionate about his job, and he's a patriot. He's a hero. After that, a lot of people, FBI, I think, would follow me.
Wow.
They knew that I look like my father. I have this kind of Slavic, Arabic look, which I'm proud for. Always I had a dream to meet my father, to know who is he like a person. And when I met him, I was deeply touched to tears, My story was like 2 years talking to my father. Sometimes he could not call to Ukraine, talk to me, because, he's military. And even Ukraine and Libya had an excellent relationship that time. We found later in our house, in the home phone, a lot of, they were listening and checking who's calling us. Yeah. So my house was a target, They knew my father visited my house. Why? They didn't know much. And when the conflict happened in Libya, Gaddafi, 2015, my father was killed.
Oh.
And his friend, who also came to our house, he served in army, he called me and said, Susanna, I can say you one thing. Your father is a national hero. This is how I remember my father. this what makes me being proud for my diverse who I am today, Ukrainian, Arabic, I don't know much about Libya. I never been in Libya. I know I have sisters and brothers from his second marriage, in Libya. I know that I talk to them. One day I'm dreaming to meet them, We are proud from our father, no matter what happened in life, that we never had a chance. It's because of, the politics.
Yeah, it's a shame that politics did that.
Yeah.
That's sad.
But I can say one thing. I'm proud of my mom that she raised me by herself, teaching me everything the best she could give me. And I'm proud for my father that he was a patriot, Even he had to choose to serve his country. I know one thing. He always loved me. He always loved my mom. And I got his genes, to being intelligent, keep developing my skills as musician. So I'm grateful for both of them.
Yeah. So you mentioned your grandma was your teacher. Mm-hmm. And was that in how does school in Ukraine? Do they have public school or how does that work?
So my grandma, she was Olympic champion.
Oh, really?
Something you don't know.
Wow.
Her teenager time, living in Siberia. She was a lot in the sport. She would push, she would high jump. Am I saying it right on English? Mm-hmm. So she did a big record. And nobody could beat her.
Wow.
Yeah. Later, when she met my grandfather, he said, probably enough jumping and running. It's time, it's time for a family. So my grandma had to choose to become a mother of two beautiful daughters, my mom and my aunt. And she went back to college to get a degree in education. So she became an elementary school teacher. And she got so many awards as one of the best teachers.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So back in Russia and when she lived in Ukraine also, a lot of medals, a lot of honorary certificates, To sign your kids to her class, people would wait, Even the kids would be 5. They want to just let them go to my grandmother. She would teach them the best writing, the best skills. So I think education in Ukraine, in America, a little bit different. Here what I see, I kind of like it. And from another side, not really like it. Because I'm a teacher as well, yeah? I like how kids are... They cherish them. Teachers cherish kids. Even if they fail, they will not going to be strict to them. They say, okay, next time you're going to do a better job. In Ukraine, you fail. You know what? You go home, you study, you come tomorrow. You better not fail. They will be very tough to you. Nobody will say, good job. Oh, what a lovely kid. No. You know what? Kid, if you're stupid today, you better, learn. So they give you a tough time. So I had a lot of tough time. Math is not my object that I would be perfect. Because I have this artistic, mind. So for me, being good at math and physics and chemistry is a tough time.
Yeah, I bet.
So they were really giving me a hard time learning and improving.
How is it do you go to school for 12 years over there?
No, so I graduate middle school. And we have option, you don't need to graduate a high school. Instead of graduating high school, I chose to go to a music college and graduate high school in a college.
Oh.
So the first 2 years, we do a lot of high school program. But also, since I chose a music college, so my focus was on music and performance. So I basically kind of added 2 more years to study. Otherwise, I would graduate high school, 12 classes, and I would go straight to music academy,
Mm.
as a lot of students do. I chose to go and get extra 2 years to study music.
So you basically skipped and went straight to college.
Yeah,
And
I
they
went to
gave you
college,
A little bit of high school in the beginning, and then
Yeah.
you got an extra 2 years to study
music.
music.
And then I thought I'm more prepared to go to music academy and get my master degree in music performance.
So then after that, you went to the academy.
Yes.
And were you doing the piano or the bandura?
So piano was my always like the prime instrument. I call it my lab. At age of 12, I decided to add one more instrument to my skills, the bandura. I was not sure if bandura will become like my main instrument, but it did. It did. I fell in love with the sound so much, so I chose bandura as my main instrument, but I always play piano professionally.